one. Well, hey, Dave Melenda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I got a really weird question for you, but I think it's going to be a great topic to unpack today. It's a term or the two words that I never saw put together before. So the question is super simple. Do you have people drama? And I'm like, what the heck is people drama? I know what people are, obviously. I know what drama is, but I think I know, but I'm like, I got to get this guy on. So I'm honored to be hanging out with Tom Healy. How are you today, my friend?
Well, when you said I have a weird, I thought you were going to say guest after that. And I'm like, what
Hey,
did
you
I
can
do
say
to
weird
to to
guest. I
to,
didn't
to
want
come
to say it.
across as weird? No. Yeah, so that was good. You said weird question, not weird person.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but being weird's okay. That just means you're being authentic. So
absolutely.
people drama, it's an interesting phrase, but
Yeah,
inside of organizations, in my experience, the more people drama you have, the more firefighting that leaders and ownership needs to do, the more personality conflicts you have, the more talking behind people's back, the more people that quiet quit or really quit. The people can treat your customers or clients in not the manner you want. And ultimately, what does all this create? Less stuff gets done. And
right.
if I'm a leader or a CEO or an owner of a business, I want people cooperating, working hard, getting stuff done so we can sell more widgets.
Yeah.
And people drama prevents us from doing that.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, I love the two words together. So we'll unpack that today. You're a co-founder of a company called People Ops 360. So why don't you fill in the audience on that, Tom, as to what People Ops 360 is?
We do your HR for you. Very, very
Okay.
simple. So we operate as your outsourced HR manager. That can be everything from onboarding, offboarding, payroll, compliance, dealing with drama, being in regulation and compliance in your state or industry, et cetera, et cetera. So typically, the organizations we're working with are too small to have a full-time HR person, or even
Sure.
if they could, they would probably not want to go that route because they'd hire someone that, frankly, wasn't really going to provide that much value. So allow us to do it at a very, very high level for the same or less than it would cost to hire a full-time person. Some of the use cases are my spouse does HR for us.
Yeah,
I do HR even though we have 25 employees and I have more
sure.
important things to do. Our
Yeah.
office manager kind of does HR. And to me, none of those things are efficient or effective.
Sure. No, absolutely. So I have a question at the beginning because when I think of HR, I think of the H, the human side, and then the R, the resource side. So I think a human like day-to-day interaction, trying to get people engaged in their world and things like that. And then I think of the R, which is the paperwork, the employee handbook, the onboarding, insurance, 401k, all that. Do you work on both sides of the HR world then, Tom?
We do. So it's a human that's going to answer your questions. So I'm the CEO of a company and I have questions around healthcare regulations and industry requirements and remote employees in different spaces. I want to be able to ask a human being that's very, very qualified for answers to those specific to my company. If I have an employee on my team and she has some questions about maternity leave or Cobra or whatever it might be, I want
Yeah.
her to be able to speak to a real human being. So we provide that person. Alicia at peopleops360.com or whoever it is on our team, and they get to work with a real person. And then, yes, the resources, the blocking and tackling of crossing our T's and dotting our I's and all that HR crap that frankly no one wants to do, but I'd argue just as importantly, don't know how to do. We
Right.
just handle it. You just worry about marketing and sales and strategy and customer engagement and opening up a new location. Worry about that stuff. You shouldn't be spending your time on HR.
Sure. Wow, that's awesome. Well, and I think it's funny because small to medium-sized businesses that are listening, they have no problem hiring an attorney. They have no problem hiring, a CPA. They hire the people like that. But like you said, when it comes to the HR thing, I always laugh. I'm like, whoever went to the bathroom when they were voting probably got voted to be the HR person because no one
Yeah.
wants it. No one really is good at it in the sense of, again, insurance and maternity leave and all that stuff is like it's just such a tough scenario. So, um,
And Dave, one other thought on that I want to add to that is
yeah,
I also think that it's something that gets brushed aside and isn't viewed as important. So here's what happens is I go in and I do a 3 hour workshop for a room full of CEOs on your people operations, right? And I'm talking to them and I say, what's causing you to bang your head against the wall? Oh, Tom, we can't retain good people. Tom, it takes us too long to get people up to speed. Tom, we feel like we're not paying enough and we're losing people to our competitors. And I hear all these sob stories and I'm sitting there
yeah,
going, the things that you're banging your head against the wall are HR. So
right,
you can say, oh, who cares about HR and it doesn't matter, and let's just have the office manager or COO also kind of do HR.
yeah,
But what has that gotten you? Well, it's gotten you people that quit. It's gotten you people that have sued you. It's gotten, your inability to recruit high quality people to come into your organization. It's caused you to take 90 days to onboard someone when it should take 30 days, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah.
you can minimize the importance of this, yet you're telling me it's causing you all these problems. So to your point, if you're going to outsource, legal work or accounting work or anything else, why wouldn't you outsource this as well? It's not something you should just throw at a secretary.
Yeah, and it feels like it's one of the electives. Like, if we have extra money, we can do it. But again, a
Yeah.
lot of times it just is so darn important, especially, because you are talking about people. And like you mentioned before, I mean, a bad team creates and provides a bad customer experience. So if we're living to try to sell those widgets and we can't sell them, and we have a bad team, it's like, well, probably started from day one on onboarding. It started on the interview process. So this is why I think this is such a powerful topic. I'm just
Well,
curious, Tom.
and I'll just one other thing I
Yeah,
want to add on
yeah,
that because I think
yeah,
you were alluding to it is it's just so important in business to get to the root cause of issues.
yeah,
So, we'll use your example. Our customer service, our net promoter score keeps going down, and we can't figure out what it is. We have a net promoter score problem. No, Bob, you don't. You have a training problem, or you have a
yeah,
recruiting problem, or you have a
yeah,
culture problem. So let's get to the root cause of what's actually doing that, other than attributing blame to
yeah.
something that isn't the root cause.
Well, and Gallup says that right now, 2 out of 3 people in the US workforce aren't even engaged in their job. So, it's like when you think about that, I love the proverbial 10 people on a team. That means 3 people are doing a ton of heavy lifting. And there's, 7 people that are just kind of like, it's not my job. I leave early, I get there late. I don't really care who's on line one. I got to go to the bathroom rather than answer the phone. And it really does affect that customer experience. So like you said, if you're,
And let's tease that out a little bit more. Those three
yeah,
people, do they stay forever, or do they
yeah,
get frustrated because the
yep,
other seven people can't carry their weight? Because high
yep,
performing people want to be with other high performing people in high performing environments. And
right,
so, yeah, those seven people, not only are they not carrying their weight, not only are they dragging down our net promoter score, but they're also running away or running off the other seven. The other thing
yep,
that companies do too is they say, oh, okay, well, we have Dave, Mary, and Bob. There are three high performers. Let's just ignore them and focus on these
right,
seven that aren't
yeah,
carrying their weight. So now the
yep,
three people are like, wait a second, where's my mentorship? Where's
yep,
my one on one coaching? Where's the conversations about my future here? You've completely ignored me. So I'm going to
yep.
quiet quit or I'm going to loudly quit, but I'm out of here.
Yeah, no, out of sight, out of mind is not a good leadership, place to be. So I'm just curious, like what size company do you feel, obviously there's probably a starting point for where, People Ops 360 would jump in and add value. And I'm sure you could add value from a dollar on up, but what do you normally see as kind of like the sweet spot where an entrepreneur listening might be like, yeah, I'd love to do it, but I can't afford it, or we don't have that much HR problems. Where do you normally see, whether size wise, dollar wise, whatever, where do you normally see a good starting point for you guys?
So all based on headcount, revenues irrelevant, and the
Okay.
headcounts 10 to 100. If
Okay.
you're under 10, you set up a Gusto account, you do your HR through there. The owner or leader of the company can handle all that. Your training's typically going to be sit down next to me and I'll teach you how to do this, and that's totally fine.
Okay.
You get above 10. You need to have someone in place. Well, again, whether it's us or it's another option, there's
Sure.
plenty of people out there. And you start getting up to that 100, and that's when you're thinking, okay, we need someone to really be a chief people officer. We need
Sure.
someone that's going to take the culture the CEO wants and execute it, build out a recruiting plan, build out all of the internal training, onboard people, drive engagement, drive retention, really be a people strategist. Now, I will
Sure.
tell you that that person is not cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, different industries, different markets, but that is a six-figure position. And in my experience, if you're not willing to make that $150,000 or more investment in that person, then just outsource it.
Right.
Because and this is not just true of HR outsourcing, it's other disciplines too. But what happens is someone goes, Tom, that chief people officer, VP of HR that can handle every aspect of the employee life cycle. I want that person.
Yeah.
I am willing to pay $65,000 for that person. Well,
Sure.
then you're not getting what you want. You're getting an HR manager, and
Sure.
you're not going to be pleased with the output. You can call that person VP, CPO, whatever the heck you want. That
Yeah.
title does not make that person automatically know how to do all this stuff.
Sure.
So, it's like so many other things, right? You get what you pay for. And you either make the investment and do it right, or you outsource to experts that can handle it. And again, that's true of fractional marketing people, fractional bookkeepers, fractional CFOs. It's all of that.
Yeah, no, and I think it's easy again, like we said, to no one wants to do the CPA part. Most people don't want to do the legal part, but add HR into that. Why would you want to do that? I think that's awesome. I also, as you look at that 10 to 100, I think there's also, people that have 10 people and they grow to 25 or 30 in 2 years or whatever. There's this growth. And I think trying to at 10, you can probably wear a hat that says, HR on it, pull that off, put your owner hat on. You can probably, interchange those. But when you get up into the 20, 30 range, I got to believe all of a sudden part of that guy or girl's week has to be dedicated, excuse me, to HR. And I'm assuming that's the cool part for you is there's a big blind spot, I'm guessing, for a lot of owners that are like, hey, I've just been doing this for the last 5 years and now we doubled or tripled our sales, so we're just going to keep on doing that. Do you see that a lot where people just kind of keep on, hey, this is just how we've always done it around here type of mentality?
Dave, I'll tell you about a conversation I had this morning. And this is a local business owner that was referred to me by a referral partner of mine. So 15 employees and resistant to grow.
Hmm.
He's talked about opening up new locations and growing. And
Yeah.
he said, I'd love to. And I said, well, why haven't you? And he goes, oh, well, because it would be, a headache for HR. I handle all that. And it would be, I said, so hold on a second. I said, permission to be direct with you because I'm a
Right.
direct person, but I always like to ask permission for somebody I haven't ever met before. And I
Sure.
said, so you mean to tell me the only reason that you're not growing at a faster rate is because of the HR administrative work it
Yeah.
would cause you to do? And he's like,
Sure.
yeah. And I said, look, man, I said, let me be honest with you. You can hire us, you can hire someone else. I don't care what you decide to do. I said,
Yeah.
but please hire someone. Please
Yeah.
outsource this, get it off your plate, and grow your damn business.
Yeah.
And he's
Well,
like, I appreciate your honesty.
yeah.
I just, that's the difference between me and I think a lot of people in the HR space is, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I'm going to challenge people and say, well, we'll get to the HR piece of it, but let's talk about the business, let's talk about the strategy, let's talk about the growth plans, because what I'm trying to do from an HR standpoint is design a people operation strategy to execute on that. But you got to get out of the way of doing that. Give it to us. Tell us how you're going to grow the business, and we'll recruit the people. We'll train them. We'll onboard them. We'll answer all their questions. We'll keep you in compliance. We'll help you navigate the employee benefits conversations and the payroll software and all of that. But man, I hate when companies are not growing at the optimal rate because they're bogged down by any BS, whether it's
Yeah.
bookkeeping, HR, administrative stuff, whatever it might
Sure.
be.
Well, and it's one thing to not know it, again, a blind spot. It's another thing, like he even knew it, could articulate that. And it's just like, wow, so you'd rather save your $65,000 example or your 100,000, whatever your charge is, you'd rather save that than get $1 million, 2 million, whatever it is in sales and just, I mean, you should be paying
We're
for yourself. I'm assuming People Ops
sure
360, you pay for
yeah, yeah.
yourself.
Well, I mean, we're about $150 per employee per month. Okay. Very,
Okay.
very simple pricing structure. Our fees
Sure.
go up as your headcount goes up. So, if you have 20 employees, you're talking about 3 grand a month. I mean, this is nothing, right? This is like a part-time person.
Yep.
So give us the 3 grand, give us all the files, the paperwork, the logins, and go build your business. Go
Yeah,
network.
exactly.
Go open
Yeah.
a new location. Go golf more. I mean, do take a
Right.
vacation. Do
Yeah.
something. But this
Yeah.
is this is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And you don't know anything about snow being from Phoenix, but or Arizona, I
I
should say.
grew up in Pittsburgh, so I know a little
Oh,
bit
so you
about
know a little bit
snow.
about it.
Yeah,
But
I used to
those
ski. I used to ski in the winters.
those entrepreneurs wouldn't even think twice about not hiring somebody to plow their driveway because again, they just outsource as much as they can. So there are some things that they outsource that are, obviously no brainers. And then there's some things that are like, oh my gosh, this is, I can do this. And do you run into a lot of I can do this type of people?
Yeah, I mean, I run into all kinds of people. I run into people that don't love outsourcing because I need to hire someone full time and I need them to be sitting in my office and I need to be
Yeah,
able to look at them. Well,
sure.
you have to figure out a way to reconcile your desire for control over everything because that's gonna hurt you. So there,
Sure.
there's some people that don't believe that someone can help them in their business unless they're full-time W-2 butt in seat and they can see it through the window of their private office. So you have
Yeah,
people that just believe on hiring everything. Some people don't trust. I don't trust anyone to do my books. I don't trust anyone to do my HR because
sure.
they've been burned by a consultant or someone before. Sometimes people are just so new to business. I love baking cakes. I decided to open up a cake shop. Now we have 15 employees, but I'm just a cake baker at heart. Well,
Yep.
okay, but you need to shift. Now you need to be a business owner and you got to learn this. So I have very little tolerance in this day and age for people that claim ignorance. So,
Yeah.
hey, Tom, I'm just not a business owner, or Tom, I'm
Yeah.
just not a salesperson, or Tom, I'm not good with finances.
Yeah.
Dave, my response to that, because of AI, because of the internet, because of YouTube, because of Google, you can learn anything you want very, very, very quickly. So go to
Sure.
ChatGPT and say, look, I'm just simple baker. I opened up a cake shop. I have 15 employees now. What don't I know? Challenge me on what I need to learn.
Sure.
Present to me like you're a McKinsey consultant. How do I scale my business and get myself out of the day to day? The answers
Yeah.
are right there. I mean,
Right.
this stuff is so much easier than it was 20 years ago between
Sure.
information, technology, outsourcing,
Yeah.
overseas gig workers. Running a business is way easier now than it was 20 years ago when I started.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you what, you can't, we're going to take a quick break, but you can't tell the bank I'm just a banker or a baker and I haven't paid my bills in months and months and months. And they'd be like, don't worry about it. As long as you're a baker, it just doesn't work that way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's right. It's like, there's certain non-negotiables, and it's just, I don't know why HR is a negotiable. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to kind of unpack some of the things that you guys do so that the listener can really maybe uncover some things that either they're not doing or they're not doing a good job of. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Honored to be hanging out with Tom Healy, co-founder of People Ops 360. And do you call yourself a fractional HR company? Is that what you would, or how do you determine or define your company when you tell somebody about it?
Yep. The two things I say, one is fractional HR, and the other thing I say, and I just think from a marketing standpoint, it's, you want to make it about them. We're your HR manager. So I think
Gotcha.
there's a lot of power from a marketing standpoint in your.
Sure.
We'll
Perfect.
give
No.
you this. So it's not about
Yep.
us. It's about you. It's about you having an HR manager in your business.
Well, and I think that brings up a good question because, like you said before, Tom, if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm listening and I'm like, no, I can't do a fractional. I got to have meat in the seat because they have to know my business. I mean, if I came to you as a screw manufacturer versus a bobsled manufacturer, whatever, I mean, do you have to get into the particulars of that business, or is HR in this situation?
So there's a great question, and I'll give you two different answers to this. First of all, no. It's industry agnostic. The role of HR is not to be an expert in your product. Now, are there
Right.
basic things that we need to know about a law firm or an accounting firm or a
Sure.
construction company or a company that uses union employees? Sure, but
Sure.
we've got that. We've
Yep.
got a great team of people that can understand that. The other thing that I hear, and this is going to be, giving some flack to our CEOs that are listening to this. So I will hear some CEOs say something along the lines of, "Well, yeah, we need a full-time HR person because, they need to really understand and develop our culture."
Okay.
It's not HR's responsibility to build your culture. It's
Gotcha.
your responsibility as the leader to develop your culture. HR can understand it and develop a people operations strategy around it. But it is the CEO, owner, leader of the organization to develop, nurture, and own that culture. It's a big part of their responsibility. So
Sure.
it's not a matter of, I mean, if you're going to delegate that to HR, whether it's
Mhm.
full-time, fractional, whatever,
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you had people until you said culture, because I don't know about you, but I run into people are like, yeah, we don't have a culture here. And it's just like every company has a culture. So are you seeing that where people are like they don't know what it is, or they think it's something different than it really is? Do you see that a lot in people you work with?
Years ago, Tim Tebow, the Florida quarterback who played in the NFL for a little bit, he said athletes argue about whether or not they're role models. Because some athletes say, I'm not. You raise your kids. I'm not a role
Yeah.
model. I play football, and
Sure.
others, do. And Tim Tebow's quote was simply that you're a role model whether you want to be or not.
Sure.
So I feel that's the same with culture. You have a culture whether you believe you do or don't. It might be a good one, it might be a bad one. You may work hard at it, you may not work hard at it, but you
Yeah.
absolutely do have a culture.
Yeah. Wow. And that's,
And
I
and and
think,
I'll add to this. So I'll add to
yeah,
this real
sure.
quick that what I've seen is in a lot of organizations, cultures have eroded. A lot of reasons and theories around that, but a lot of it does have to do with moving to hybrid, moving to remote work, going
Yeah.
fully remote, hiring people from wherever. So when people aren't together physically in person, the culture starts to erode. A lot of companies say we had a culture, COVID hit, our culture's gone. We lost some people that knew the culture. We picked up some people that we weren't able to transfer the culture to.
Sure.
So companies need to be very wise and very tactical in how they transfer the culture to their people, especially new hires. And that's, one of, I mean, my background is training, right? So going into organizations, building training, delivering training, creating
Sure.
online learning is training. And, your training needs to pound your culture in the ground. This is our culture. This is why it's the culture. This is the history of the organization. This is training on how to do your job. This is how the culture fits into that. When you're dealing with a conflict with an employee, this is how you handle it. When we're reprimanding you or acknowledging your great behavior, we're always going to tie it back to culture. But if you don't obsess over culture, it erodes. And then you go, we don't have a culture. And yeah, you do. It's just a very confusing, weak one. And you're not tying your training, your performance, your accountability, your hiring and firing to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring up a great point. I mean, people treat culture like a stapler, like it's something people take with them when they leave. It's like, you know what? People leave and they come and go to companies all the time. If the culture isn't from the top down, it's really challenging when I run into people that say, do as I say and not as I do, and have that as kind of their leadership thought. So, um, let's talk when we have a couple minutes here left. What are some things that like you guys are really like like engagement, onboarding, recruiting? What are some things that you guys at People Ops 360 are like? What's your flagship? What are you really good at?
Yeah, I think we're really good at understanding the strategy of the business and
Okay.
then aligning a people strategy around that. And I'll just give you one simple example. So we work with a insurance agency that is constantly hiring new producers.
Okay.
And typically you'd go, oh, okay, you want to hire insurance salespeople. So we'll write up a generic job description and we'll post it on all the message boards and we'll do interviews and we'll hire people. That's what happens. Okay.
Sure.
Whether it's an
Yep.
internal hire or outsourced HR. What
Sure.
I'm going to do, and Dave, let's pretend it's your insurance agency. I'm going
Sure.
to put you in a conference room and I'm going to say, I want to understand your top five performers. I want to give me everything. Where are they from? How were they raised? Did they play sports? Did they get high grades or low grades? Did they go to college? When did they
Mm,
start working for you? Why do you
sure.
love? I mean, I'm just going to hammer you with questions and we're going
Yeah.
to build a very, very specific avatar. Because when I do that, guess what happens? Well, Dave, here's what you told me. You told me that your top performers, you brought them in out of high school. They had no college education. You taught them the industry. You helped them get their licensing. You found guys that had no fear and would walk into any business cold and give donuts and get meetings.
Yeah.
These people are extremely, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Then we're going to go find them. I'm
Mhm.
going to write a job description for them. I'm going to design an interview process around them. I'm going to disqualify anyone that doesn't hit that. And we're going to get you an army of these go getter, hustler, out of high school, gritty kids. And we're going to put
Right.
them into your business. That's how you win with HR is when you really get that detailed. But you have to understand the strategy of the business. You have to really understand what an A player is in that environment before you can start to do this stuff. Because everything out there is just so damn generic. It's
Yeah.
AI written job descriptions. We don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. We want to welcome everyone. We need to write a job description that disqualifies 80 or 90% of the people reading it. But that 10%, we need them to come through. We need to vet them incredibly well during an interview process, and we need to bring the right ones on board. And that's
Oh,
just
that's
one little example.
sure. No, absolutely. I mean, is it wrong to think, Tom, that a good company should have like a bench full of people waiting to work at that company? Is that
Deep bench.
unrealistic?
No, I'll use my college football analogy. You're always recruiting people.
Yeah.
You know who's a junior in high school, a freshman in high school that's in your area or in an area that you recruit in. You're following them, you're nurturing them, you're talking to them. I mean, you treat recruiting like a sales pipeline. So we're nurturing people. And there's some people that used to work for us that we're staying in touch with. There's people that, I mean, one of my favorite examples is when a company gets really tied in with a college or
Hmm.
a community college or a government program. I mean, I've worked with companies that have had a tremendous amount of success recruiting people that were recently incarcerated. They've got
Okay.
government funds to be able to, or government grants to be able to hire them, and they've
Sure.
put them out there in the workforce and had tremendous success. So
Yeah.
finding those pipelines, building that bench, getting that continuous stream of people. But Dave, what do most companies do? Oh, Mary just quit
Yep.
abruptly, and now we got to
Yep.
fill her role. So let's
Yep.
either jam someone else from another department in there and say good luck, or let's
Yeah.
scramble to find someone and hire the first warm body that comes in for an interview. And then what do we say? Why aren't they performing? They don't align with our culture. And
Yep.
it just, I mean, how many times can you do that before you have a poor performing company? And
Yep.
my belief is, and I've been called out on this during workshops of, oh, Tom, you're unrealistic. I've just said, look, why is it unrealistic that everyone in our organization is a high performer? Now, Dave, I'm
Yeah.
not saying everyone should aspire to be CEO. I'm not saying
Right.
everyone should, be checking their emails and Slack at 9 p.m. and work 7 days a week. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation to say our office manager is going to be really good. Our receptionist is going to be really good. Our salespeople are going to be really good. Why can't everyone in the company have a good attitude, align with the culture, and be a strong performer?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that then, as you alluded to begin with, the stronger the performers, the less firefighting you're doing, the less conflict, the less quiet quitting. So it goes back to that people drama. The stronger that team is, I'm assuming the less people drama you have. Is that a pretty safe assumption?
Yes, Dave, I work with people that are incredibly successful, have businesses worth millions and millions of dollars, are taking home 1 million plus a year, and I see them and they just look dejected. And
Mm.
I'll say, Tim, what's wrong? Well, I got this employee that's driving me crazy, and she has a lot of drama with my COO, and they've both been. And I hear this whole sob story, and here's what I always ask: just a little bit of a coaching question. How many
Yeah,
hours do you think you're into this?
yeah,
And
right.
then and then then they really look like they're about to cry, and they say, I probably 60 hours over the last 6 months.
Yep,
What is an hour worth to you?
yep,
Right? What would you have done with those 60 hours
right.
elsewhere?
Yep,
What are you doing here?
yeah,
So I mean, but that's what people issues cause in businesses. They cause
sure.
waste of time. And then you play that out and you go, okay, well, so and so had a bad attitude, so three high performers quit because of her, and two other high performers are walking around with their head down doing the bare minimum. I mean, in a small organization, this could be catastrophic. In a large organization, it could cost you $1 million or more. I mean,
Yeah.
these are, yeah, the impact's
Well,
huge.
yeah, and I think retainage is one of those things that people don't think of. They just worry about getting them in and think they're always going to stay. And I think it's funny that like once a person leaves, I rarely find a C-suite person or an owner that's like, man, that's really going to sting. They're always like, oh, I'm so glad they're gone. Like it's it's like, no, you're not. I mean, just be real here. Let's
Yeah.
be real. This is hurting when your number one or number two top performers bail. And it's because, it's one thing if they get their salary tripled from somebody else, but generally it's an internal reason. Something happened within the company. And that's what I think is so powerful about People Ops 360 is you can't guarantee that's never going to happen. But I tell you what, it sure feels like you're going to do everything you can to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're two things, right? We're trying to mitigate your risk of losing people, getting in trouble, not being compliant, handling a really bad personnel issue. But then we're also trying to strategically help you grow faster. So,
Yeah.
there's the risk mitigation piece, but then there's also well, if we hire better people and they sell more widgets and you're able to grow 30, 40% year over year, what does that do to the value of your business in 5 years when you want to sell it? I mean,
Right.
that's the crazy part, right? I mean, I like starting with the end in mind. So, I'm working with a business owner. Where do you want to be in 5 years? How long do you want to do this for? So that's
Sure.
part of it too, where it's like, okay, if you want to sell the business for $20 million, and that means you need to have 10 million of revenue, and you're currently at 5 million, you want to double the business as fast as you can and get out and go fishing. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then what do we need to do to get you there? Do we need to
Yeah.
staff up? Do we need to hire better people? Do we need to save you some money by outsourcing some things? I mean, like, let's build a strategy around this. But if someone just wants to put out fires and get through the day and blame everyone else, then you're just going to stay where you are. You have some good years, some bad years, and you'll do this for 20, 30 more years, and hopefully AI doesn't put you out of business and you can sell it for something. But I
Yeah.
don't like that doesn't sound like a good strategy to me.
No, absolutely. And I think as we start to land the plane today, I think looking at people like you as a partner versus a cost on their balance sheet, if you're looking purely at the dollars it's going to cost, then I think you're looking at this the wrong way. Because I feel like this partnership thing really works because like our CPA, we give him a pile of stuff at tax time and he condenses it down and hands me like a 20-page thing and it's like,
Yep.
bam, done, right? That's exactly what I feel like you would do. And you know what? The cost is kind of secondary. Number one, I have to do something because if I don't do taxes, I end up in jail. So I have to do something. If I do them wrong, I'm going to pay penalties like crazy. So it's like, why not just do this right? And especially on the R side of HR with all the compliance things that are going on, I wouldn't know where to even start. I mean, it's fun to talk human side, but it's really hard to talk on that compliance side. So do
Well,
you
and
do
and
pretty
they,
much
they,
both
I would say,
sides?
Dave, if there's one thing I've learned, if someone wants to question your pricing and beat you up on price and
Yeah,
insinuate whether or not you're worth it, I mean,
yeah,
end the call. I mean, just
yeah. Yep.
that is not
I'm
someone that
not
you
worth
want to
it.
work with.
Yeah,
Yep. You know what? You're right. You can find someone cheaper. So,
yeah, yeah,
go find someone overseas that can do it. I mean,
yeah.
if we're, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. So.
Right. Yeah. As long as yeah, I'm sure Costco and Walmart pretty soon will do, offer what you and I do. So, I just can't wait till it's like, wow, I can go to Walmart and there's a little machine and out pops whatever. So, one last question, I'm gonna let you go. What would your tip of the day be today, Tom, for somebody listening? Maybe it's something we covered, maybe it's something that we haven't yet, but what would your tip of the day be today?
All right, let you can tell me how I do with this one, and it's something that I've
You already
I've
passed,
tried.
so you're safe.
Okay. So this is something that I've operated by for many, many years now as an entrepreneur. Operate paranoid.
Okay.
What I mean by that is I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want
Sure.
to assume that my clients will be my clients forever, that my
Yep.
industry will stay the same forever, that everything will always be perfect. Things change fast, and
Sure.
things are continuing to change faster and faster. Now, do I want you to wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night worried about your business? No. But I
Yep.
mean, really think about who could put me out of business? How could they put me out of business? How is AI going to disrupt my industry and what I do? How can I
Sure.
stay ahead of the curve? How can I learn fast? How can I move quicker than my competitors? How can I do this in the leanest, smartest, most efficient way possible? So I think operating with paranoia in this day and age is really good because, and you
Sure.
see it with legacy software companies, you see it with blue collar trades businesses, the ones that aren't innovating, modernizing, leveraging technology, being smarter are either going to go out of business or the owner is going to sell it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I tell you what, if Kmart, Blockbuster, and Radio Shack would have operated paranoid, they might still be around.
Sure.
But you know,
But it's so true. I mean, take I know, and I know Blockbuster is an easy example, but they could have bought Netflix. They could have
yeah,
done what Netflix was doing. That
yeah,
brand had a lot of equity. They had millions and millions of, people in their database that could have been subscribers, and they didn't do it. And
yeah,
okay, so that's one end of the spectrum. Well, the other end of the spectrum is I own a local plumbing company. And we still do paper estimates,
mhm,
and our routes really aren't efficient, and we haven't created, we're not using the best CRM that's out there. Dude,
yep,
your competitor that was purchased by private equity is light years ahead of you. They're moving faster, they're writing bids on the spot, they're automating their workflows. You're done, it's over.
yep.
Sell the business as fast as you can before it goes completely belly up, because you can't, you're playing a different sport. So like,
Yeah.
yes, if I owned an HVAC company, a plumbing, I'd be paranoid adding these things, or just say, you know what, I just can't keep up with some of this stuff. Let me get out while I can gracefully, and I'll go do sales for the private equity company that's buying me, or go be a greeter at Walmart or something.
Yep, nothing wrong with being a cart boys at Walmart. Now you got the machine. You don't even have to push the carts. The dang thing does it for you. So, hey,
It's true.
Tom, if somebody's listening, Tom, and they are like inspired and intrigued by what we talked about, and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for people to do that?
Well, I probably didn't inspire them. I probably terrified them. But no, I'm always happy to talk. And look, there's no sales pitch. I'm just happy to get on a call. Tell me what's going on. If I can give you some advice, if there's a way we can help you, I'm always happy to. Tom at
Sure.
peopleops360.com. Tom at peopleops360.com. Always happy to chat.
Perfect. And your website's peopleops360.com. If you want to learn more about the company before you jump in and email Tom, feel free to look at that. Tom, thanks for doing this. Thanks for hanging out. This is great stuff. I love when we kind of expose a little kink in the armor that a lot of people just overlook. And I know HR is awful or frequently overlooked because
Well, it's
it's
awful
just
too.
yeah. Well,
But
the H
someone
part
has to
cool.
do
I
it.
like the human part. I'm not a fan of all the paperwork and all the stuff on that side, but it's often overlooked. That was the word I was looking for. It's often not awful. So often overlooked. And again, it's if you're in that 10 to 100 range, at least consider what you're doing. And you may think that you're doing fine. This is again a big blind spot that I think a lot of people have. Ask your team, ask your customers, ask around, is our HR really where it needs to be? And if it's not, then maybe consider jumping on peopleops360.com, email Tom. And just want to say thank you for this. This was a great adventure here, and can't wait to keep learning from you. You got books, you speak all over the place, so there's a ton of ways to learn more. So for the listener, rather than jump into the next thing that you have, just consider what we talked about, and maybe it's worth jumping on Tom's website, emailing him, and just to have a conversation and just maybe see how you're doing. Because again, you never know. You don't know the blind spots that you have. Everyone around you knows them. Unfortunately, you don't. So thanks, Tom, for hanging out with us. And I can't wait to keep watching how this goes for you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the conversation.